All right. Do you want to start the bad, or do you want me to start the bad? Should we do the same as
You start the bad.
I start the bad? Okay. I actually have a lot to pick. I'm going to make some honorable mentions towards the end, but if I had to pick two, I'll take obviously Norris, and I'm gonna take Hamilton. And I hate to, because I don't really want to talk about him. I don't think this year is going to be a year for him to look back on, but I think it's part of a process for him if he's able to become something more. I think he needs a season like this. And I guess I'll just explain it now. To crash like that after having so much optimism going into the weekend and wanting to turn the season around and talking about how he needs to change his mindset, his attitude, and become more with Ferrari and develop more with Ferrari, making him a mistake like that it's a shame. It's a damn shame in a weekend where he probably would have gotten top 6, top 5 finish. And I don't know what else to say about him. I think it's going to be a long, hard road if he ever becomes a champion with Ferrari, and these are those moments. But how the hell did he make that mistake? It just seems so like such a rookie mistake. It seems so juvenile. I understand it was a little slippery, but he's a great wet weather racer. I just don't understand what was going through his mind. Is he losing focus? Is it just age showing? It's a damn shame for him. I don't know if you want to comment on that before I go to Norris.
Yeah, I do. I agree. And I spent some time trying to work this out in my head, and I'm not sure if I'm fully there yet. He made that mistake 3 distinct times this weekend. I want to say it was FP1, FP2, or FP1, FP3. Same spin, same corner, just wasn't able to get it together. And the practice spins didn't even have rain. He knew that area was slippery. He knew that line was treacherous. And he put it on there. Okay, tires fresh out of the blanket, hard tires, little bit of rain. Yeah, should have been more conservative. It seems like a rookie mistake. And everybody in the commentary said the same thing. Like, this is not what we expect from Lewis Hamilton. These are the conditions that he's historically shown his skill in. And I would agree with that. And it got me thinking about something we talked about previously, is that Ferrari seems to have very good mechanical grip. And I know it's still a concept that's maybe a little hazy for you.
Oh, yeah.
But I got to thinking, why would a car that has inherently more mechanical grip than some of his competitors do worse in that situation? Because in theory, a car with good mechanical grip will have better grip when you start putting your aerodynamic load on it. Until, of course, you overload the tires and they simply can't grip anymore. So why would he suffer there? I don't know that I have a good response for it. And something in me wants to say he's driven aerodynamically sound cars for his entire career. McLaren, Mercedes, that's all he's known. McLaren, you can probably correct me here, Nick, but I think he was on the tail end of Newey being there.
Newey wasn't even there when he got there. Newey was already at Red Bull.
For how long?
I'm pretty positive. So I think Newey had either just left when he got there, or it had been a year. Because Red Bull became a team in 2005, and I'm pretty sure Newey was there shortly after.
2005 or 2009?
2005. So 2009, that's when they started getting really good, because he was there with the new regulations. I'm pretty positive he got there. It's saying here on Wikipedia, Newey moved to Red Bull Racing in 2006. So yeah, it was a year after. So Hamilton wasn't even there when Newey went over to Red Bull. But remember back then, there wasn't constant regulation changes, and there was a lot more testing. So they probably got a hangover from Newey's designs, that McLaren team. They were probably just building off of his designs, and it was still really good.
Yeah, and knew he had been there for a long time. So, I mean, his
Yes.
design philosophy is kind of baked in, right?
Yes.
And that's kind of my point. So that McLaren that he was driving wasn't a Newey design, but it would have been aerodynamically sound for the most part.
100%.
And then Mercedes, okay, it's not Newey, but they very clearly understood what they were doing with aerodynamics at that point. The Braun car was very aerodynamically sound. And a few years on, they were, they didn't have the best performance when he joined the team, but it was clear that they understood what they were doing. So maybe this is a hangover of, yes, the car has good mechanical grip, and that allows them to manhandle the slower circuits, manhandle slower corners, get through slower corners faster, and make up for that. And then because they don't have the aerodynamic load, they're faster in the straights, and that's what makes the Ferrari what it is, possible. Which then could explain why Hamilton is struggling with it in these conditions where he should be good. Because in the rain, you don't have mechanical grip. As soon as you put something between the tire and the road, it doesn't matter how good your mechanical grip is. As soon as you interrupt the tire to road contact, you have nothing. Whereas in an aerodynamically efficient car, you always have extra force pushing the car into the ground, supplementing that mechanical grip effectively. And that's the gist of what I've come to in my own little bizarre debate that I've been having with myself. That I think is he's just not used to driving a car that is unruly, right? And I think it's the prancing horse emblem of Ferrari is indicative of what a Ferrari is. Lamborghini has this what am I looking for here, Nick? Lamborghini has this
Their emblem?
stereotype. No. Lamborghini has the stereotype of being an extremely fun car to drive, but one misstep will kill you kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Ferrari is supposed to be a more tailored, more gentlemanly driving experience, if you will. But the prancing horse, what is a prancing horse? That doesn't look like a prancing horse to me. That looks like a pissed off horse trying to throw its rider.
We could say the same
and
thing.
That's what I think.
Say the same
right.
thing about
and
the
that's
Lamborghini.
what I think Hamilton. Yeah, and there's a difference between the Lamborghini, but I use it just to draw the parallel of undrivable.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. I think Lewis Hamilton is finding it hard to ride this untamed horse, if you will.
No, you're making an excellent point, an excellent sense. I just want to give a definition to our listeners. Mechanical grip refers to the traction between a vehicle's tires and the road surface, primarily generated by the car's suspension and tires. You've always talked about Ferrari changing their suspension this year and affecting what it was they were doing last year. I know you were saying they have good mechanical grip, but they've changed the way the car is this year. So Hamilton's getting used to a whole new unruly Ferrari is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, and that definition is a bit rudimentary. All of these F1 cars are going to have great grip. Mechanical grip versus aerodynamic grip is what the car has inherently regardless of speed. Aerodynamic grip only comes on once you have enough speed to generate the aerodynamic downforce. So if you were to drive these cars in a vacuum effectively with no air passing over the body, the Ferrari potentially would be the better car because it has what people believe to be superior mechanical only grip. Does that make sense?
No, but I'm also a troglodyte, so Hopefully our listeners got that.
Yeah. I mean, do you get the concept of running in a vacuum and not having any airflow over the car?
Yes.
Right. So take the airflow over the car away. How good that car performs is a measure of its mechanical grip. The Ferrari would potentially be the best one.
But it also speaks to the fact that like so you're saying their aerodynamics are a big problem, and they just try and compensate that with speed and the driver, but it takes a while for drivers to adjust to that concept. I think is what you're
Especially if you've driven a very, yeah, especially if you've driven a very aerodynamically efficient car. If you're used to having good mechanical grip and good aerodynamics, you have a very good car. If you've got a car with good mechanical grip and not great aerodynamics, you can still have a great car, but you're going to sacrifice in certain areas. Right? A lot of these high speed corners where you really need to lean on the aerodynamics to help push the car into the ground, you're not going to have that. Which is the medium to high speed corners where Mercedes may not be great, is a sign of that. But on the straights, they're fast, and in the slow speed corners, they're fast. So the car wants to stick to the ground. It just can't do it with the same efficiency on the high end with the aerodynamics that other cars can, which then makes it a little bit more unpredictable if you're used to that type of car going into those corners.
Yeah, and
ultimately all it comes down to is Hamilton's not able to get on top of a car he hasn't driven for the last 20 years.
At the age of 40, yeah. And a lot of people have failed beforehand, and this team doesn't seem to want to rally and develop around anybody. Yeah, we talked all about this preseason, why this could be a thing for Hamilton this year. And this is another example of that. Unfortunately, I was talking to my cousin. You were at my baby shower on Sunday, and after you left, I was talking to my cousin Adam. Our cousin Adam is a big fan of the show. Shout out to him. Thank you for listening. And he was saying, why do you think Hamilton's the problem there at Ferrari? And I said, no, I don't think Hamilton is the problem. I think he could become something here. It's this, like what we just talked about. It's going to take time for him to adjust. The problem is Charles Leclerc. And I know, so I'm not going to delve into this a million times. I've given my opinion on him a million times. But Hamilton is trying to catch up to somebody who's never going to achieve something at this team. If Hamilton was just the focal point of this team right now, they may turn it around and win a championship, or we'd see Lewis Hamilton reach a new level. Charles is getting the most out of a crappy car, not knowing where this car is going. He's getting more out of it than Hamilton right now.
And also because it's really the only thing he knows.
That's a good point, too. And in a sense, that speaks to something you talked about last year, that they've broken him. So now he's just sort of racing every race as if, like, what's going to happen to me this time? Just trying to get the best out of every race without having a long-term picture of where he wants to go with Ferrari. Whereas I think if they were, and this is what I was saying to Adam, if they were a little worse this year and just got rid of Charles Leclerc too and rallied around Hamilton with a crappy second driver, like a random, they would be growing.
Lance Stroll. Absolutely. You and I should start that train to Ferrari. That rumor mill, let's get it going to all of our listeners. But yeah, because my cousin was saying, like, do you hate Hamilton? I said, no, I just don't think this is a good situation for him. And I think if we ever are going to see him grow and become a champion with Ferrari, they should have treated this year as the team and him being worse, but developing the car and understanding the car together. Which they haven't done. They haven't done since Vettel left. No.
Because they thought Leclerc was going to be that guy, and sure enough. Anyway, I think that's enough about that.
Yeah. Well, this is very much a situation of don't meet your heroes. Hamilton went to Ferrari because of an emotional decision. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to race for Ferrari. Why? I don't know. Statistically, they're not that great of a team, but everybody wants to race for Ferrari. Everybody wants to wear red. Okay. But very clearly it's a career killer. And that's not a recent trend either. It's been a trend for a long time.
Yeah, since Schumacher left. Yeah, Raikkonen, Vettel, who
No,
else? Alonso,
even before that, Prost, Berger,
Lacey. Yeah, they will. Yeah, that's a good point.
um,
Villeneuve, literally.
Villeneuve, the Irish guy.
Scheckter,
Well,
Donald.
Schechter's African,
I didn't know that. Oh, interesting.
South African, yeah. Oh, Irvine,
Northern Irish, Sean. Oh, anyway.
still Irish, Nick.
If this was 1997 Belfast, Sean, you'd be in a hell of a lot of trouble. Okay. Anyways,
Good thing it's not 97 Belfast, Nick.
yeah. Ferrari just represents. I've said this before on this podcast. It represents the hot girl that everyone wants to tame. You know what I mean? It's the goal of everybody. Like, if you can win at Ferrari, you're the man. Like, it's like what Enzo Ferrari said.
Yeah.
Tell a kid to draw a car, he's going to paint it red. It's a symbol. And the ones who have conquered,
That's a much better analogy, yes.
the ones who have conquered Ferrari, like Schumacher, Lauda, you know, like it's like a rite of passage, or like an unreachable goal. Like, it's like taking the sword out of the stone. It's something everyone wants to try and do, because I don't know, it's just become
Yes.
folklore at this point. But yeah, you're right statistically, but it's just something, I guess, that just seeps up into your heart. It's that soul and passion that Top Gear used to talk about. Describe an Alfa Romeo without saying the word soul or passion, and you'll have to pay $1. Remember, James May lost all his money. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's stick to the bad, I
No,
guess.
that's just,
Sorry.
yeah, no, that's just it. So moving on from that, your other bad was Norris, right?
Yeah, and I think he did pretty good this weekend until the DNF. But the second it happened, it gave him a crutch in his mind, and he just collapsed. And you heard him on the radio. It doesn't matter. Like, he wasn't trying to reason with it. He wasn't trying to get his head back into it. He wasn't trying to change his attitude in his mind in the moment and just be like, we'll get him next time. He was just like Will Joseph, his engineer, just rushed right away. You did so good, Lando. You were doing so good. And he was like, doesn't matter. Like, he just became like, he went from like the cool jock to the goth kid in 5 seconds. Like, it's not surprising, but it's.
But
Yeah.
I'm struggling here, Nick.
I'm going in a lot of directions right now. Yeah.
No, it's not that. Well, it is in a way. Your double standards again.
Go on.
The way I saw that was Will Joseph went out there to kind of stroke and baby Lando, right? Oh, you were so fast. You were so fast today. And Lando's response was kind of a very calm, measured, yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because the car died. I don't see that as the negative that you see it. He could have had a very different response. He could have had a Fernando Alonso worthy response of, oh, you fucking assholes, you gave me a piece of shit car, a GP2 engine, you know. That would have been a negative response. That would have been Lando spiraling in my mind. This, I'll disagree with you on it. I saw this as him actually maturing into, yeah, well, it doesn't matter if I was fast. I was or I wasn't. The car died. Give me a better car.
Well,
I don't mind that.
No, I was getting around to the point where he just went from he went through the 5 stages of grief, right? And I was bringing it back to like an interview he did at the end of it, where he goes through all these emotions at the time. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. The way it sounded to me, the way the inflection of his voice was, doesn't matter. Like he was hurt in that moment, really hurt. When he could have just said, we'll get him next time, and left it at that, and been like, or maybe shown a little bit like, oh, we'll get him next time. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I see a winner going through that. And yeah, maybe I am just Norris hating. Maybe I'm just dogpiling on him. Maybe I just will never see the good in him because of what he said last year. I understand where your mind is coming from. It's just,
Sure.
it's just I think he immediately used as a crush, like because he saw the end of his title hopes in that moment, and it's like, you're not done. The title's not done. It's not over. Give a semblance of that. But I think at the end of in the interviews afterwards, like the 5 stages of grief, like what is it? It's depression, anger, right? Like never really showed anger, but suddenly he's upbeat. And what's the last stage? It's like closure or something, where he's like, I'm just going to go for it now. I'm going to go for it now. Like my mind's clear. I'm just going to go for it for the rest of the season. You haven't been the entire time. Like I think he wants to lose. I think he wants moments like this to fall on and say, like, I could have been a winner, but this. When, like we said earlier, you probably would have lost the race anyways. And I know it sucks to go through.
Lost.
Came second.
Lost is a bit of a stretch.
Second place. Yeah. But you'd still be 16 points behind. It would still be advantage Piastri. I just think like him and Leclerc, they see moments like this and they're like, whew. Like I think they almost feel relief in these moments. Like I don't have to be anything anymore. I don't have to try and be something more. I can just be myself. I talked about this solo. Where I was like, Lando can't even race Max straight up, let alone Oscar. But he can if he has a strategy that lets him run his own race. That's what we saw in Hungary. I think he was, I'm not going to say the car DNF because of him, but I'm sure it had something to do with the fact that he's pushing the car hard to keep up with Oscar in a way that maybe he wasn't even completely comfortable with. And it might have...
Can I stop you there? Because you've segued directly into the point.
Go on. Yes, go ahead.
So this is the point I was hoping we would get to, and you kind of led into it naturally, which is amazing. We talked about this briefly with Fernando and his time at Honda McLaren, where he had a much larger record of DNFs with that car than Jenson Button did. And at the time I said, well, there are things a driver can do to impact engine reliability. And I think this is part of what we're seeing, right? And we've talked about it with Lando before, that he is a little bit more aggressive than Oscar is. We see him push the limit more than Oscar does. And that has ramifications to everything, right? Like we know that if these cars run over some of the tall curbs, you're going to damage the floor. You can damage a wing. You can damage different parts of the body, right? So if you're constantly riding the curb, you can damage the car. That's clear, I think, right? You understand that?
Yes.
But what does that vibration, what does that impact do to the engine, to the battery, to the turbos, right? These are all very high precision parts. Vibration kills things very quickly. So if you have harsher engine or harsher throttle inputs, that's going to impact engine life. If you rev higher, it's going to impact throttle or engine life. Right? There's all sorts of things that a driver can influence that's going to impact the life of the car. And when we look at Piastri, as far as I know, they're kind of on par with each other as far as powertrain component changes. I don't think either driver has had one or more power unit components changed. Right? Of course, coming up to Monza, they're all going to change engines next week for Monza. So if you were at the edge of the life expectancy of an engine this weekend, the question is, do you take it now and not have a fresh engine for Monza? Or do you run the race knowing that you may or may not finish because of engine reliability? And this is where I think Oscar's inherent ability to stay calm, cool, collected, and hit his lines every lap without feeling the pressure and doing it in a way that is fast allows him to be the better all-around driver. Whereas Norris is capable of being faster than Piastri, but his inconsistency and his tendency to, let's say, push the boundary, kind of just 1 foot over the edge, hurts him in the long run because now his engines don't last longer. Piastri can get to whatever it is. Call it 1,000 kilometers on an engine, and Norris is at 980. That extra 20 kilometers is what we saw this weekend.
Wow.
That last little bit of the last race that engine was supposed to hold on, Lando's went pop because he likes to toe that line of the edge, whereas Piastri knows how to keep it back a little bit. So I think we're on the same page on that one, Nick.
Yeah, I eventually get to my point. I think I have so much in my head. I gotta like spew it out. Not concise. So it started with me saying he's a crybaby goth to actually making a decent point. Which he's not. He's not a crybaby goth. I may just be a little hard on him. I think he's been better the last.
You just got to get over your hyperbole, Nick.
That's what I am. That's how I get to points. That's how I reason things out in my mind. But
you're hyperbolic at the best of times, yes.
There's still a long season. It was a bad weekend for you. It sucks, but don't give up. But it's daunting. Like I'm seeing some of the articles. They're saying it without saying it. That it doesn't look good for Lando. I'll give an example here. It was what did they say? It was. Sorry, Sean. Do you want to make a point while I'm looking through this?
No, I think when it comes to Lando, that's kind of all there was to say. I don't think he necessarily did anything wrong this weekend. He had a really decent weekend. You can't control an oil leak. It could have been his. We don't know where it was leaking from or what part of the system was leaking. We just know that it was an oil leak. So, could have been a mechanical problem. Something wasn't torqued properly when they put the car together this weekend. Who knows? Could have been that. Or it could have been a line that burst because he's shifting too late in the rev range consistently, and you finally ran out of usable life in that component. We won't know the answer to it, but you have to consider the options. So I'll leave it there.
I was just going to say they compared this to, I think it was Villeneuve, Montoya. They all said, this looks like Malaysia 2016 when Hamilton DNF'd and gave advantage Rosberg. And it's
the
like
big fiery one.
Yes. There was 5 races left after that. That's a completely different situation. There's 9. Why are they talking like this now? It's
exactly.
Because they understand how good Oscar is. And they're saying it without saying it, that Oscar is the favorite, the number one of that team. And Oscar's just too consistent, too exceptional compared to Lando. And they don't want to say it yet. But they said it without saying it this weekend. Where it's like, how are you going to catch Oscar like this? Because we know Oscar's going to win more. Oscar should have already had more wins. I think he was robbed.
But who's saying
that? What I just talked about, it looks like Malaysia.
No, but who's saying he can't catch him, or he's not going to catch him?
No, I'm saying they're implying it. It's like it's daunting. It's like, oh, now no matter what, this might be the end of Lando's.
But that's my point. Yeah. Who's saying what to make it sound daunting? Because the commentary that I'm listening to is not that.
Well, that's why I said it was Montoya and Villeneuve, and they know a thing or two about this sport. Yeah.
Well, Villeneuve needs to just retire and go curl up and die.
He did make a good point. He made a Nick point, and so I shouldn't say it's a good point. He made a Nick point about how there's just not enough good drivers in this league. He essentially made the Nick points argument. So he's back in my good books for now.
And does he consider himself to be a good driver worthy of taking over?
Probably. In his mind, he's the best at everything, Sean.
Right.
Anyway.
Case in point.
Anyways, what do you like? I was just trying to make the point that it's not that, but like in their mind, they're saying it without saying it, that it's going to be way too hard for him to catch Oscar with his mentality and his skill set. I don't know. We'll see. What are your bads for the week?
All I'll say to that is Norris is firmly in second place. Verstappen's not going to catch him.
Who's saying anything about Verstappen? So, I think
No. What I'm saying, regardless of what people think about Norris and his inability to become a champion, he is still clearly deserves to be in F1. He is firmly in second place. So you really can't say he doesn't deserve to be there.
No, I didn't say that at all. Villeneuve wasn't talking
I'm
about.
not saying you.
No,
I'm
Villeneuve
not saying
wasn't.
you said that, but
They weren't saying Norris doesn't belong in F1. They were just. I think they were talking about the back half. He was talking about the back half of the grid. I did. I guess not. I just segued 2 points there without clarifying that both weren't about Norris. Norris belongs.
yeah,
Norris belongs in F1. He's not the level of driver Villeneuve was talking about. I think they were just saying with his mentality, he may not be a champion with the Malaysia thing. But anyways, I think you're right. He belongs here. He's in second place. Be interesting to see if Verstappen would be ahead of him if Red Bull wasn't a complete bunch of fuck ups this year, but that's a whole other story. Who were your bads of the week?
Antonelli.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's kind of a double whammy. It's Antonelli and then Mercedes. So Antonelli wasn't really on it.
No.
Looked like he had a bit of a minor comeback from his nonsense the last couple of races, and then it all fell apart in the race. That move he attempted to put on Leclerc was never going to happen, and it's a prime example of what will happen if you try to take the low line on a banked corner without being where you need to be. If I've said that correctly. That was always going to end in heartache for him. The unfortunate part is it ended in heartache for Leclerc and not Antonelli. That move was never on. And then I think that got him a bit flustered. And the next chance he got, he was in the pits and ended up with another penalty on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's tied Ocon's penalty count in seconds at least. 15 seconds, which screwed him. It dropped him from a reasonable position in the points down to no man's land. So that's unfortunate, but that's what inexperience does. And I'm not trying to shit on Antonelli. I think he's a good rookie. I think he deserves to be where he is. He's proven that he can be up there, but he potentially needed that extra year in F3.
Yeah.
If he had done F3, he would have come into F1 like Hadjar, I think. He would have been much better suited to the task at hand than if he had been doing what he did. So, okay, he would have come into F1 at 20 years old or 19 years old instead of 18, but he would have had a better time of it. So, I mean, I'm looking at the standings now. We're 6 races with 1 point.
Yeah.
Where in the same time frame, Hadjar's got 16 points. And sure, most of them came this last weekend.
Still.
But it's again that normalization, right? If you look at the entire season, I think if you were to normalize these two, Hadjar's probably gonna best him. So it's an unfortunate week again for Antonelli. He hasn't really been in our bads, as if I remember correctly, the last few weeks, Nick.
No.
We haven't really made a point of calling him out for it, but this weekend he definitely fucked it up.
Yeah, but we don't call him out because we know this season is just trial and error. It's practice. This should have been another F2.
Yeah.
This should have been another F2 season. I don't know why Wolf rushed him into a non-important year where you were never fighting for the constructors or the drivers. In a car that you were aiming for the next year, you could have brought him in with more testing in 2026. Could have just eased him in nicely into a new generation at a normal age, like you're saying. Like, yeah, he could have came in at 20 instead of 19, like all of his heroes.
Yeah, I think you're misinterpreting what I said, though. Wolf wanted him in this year so that he could get F1 experience before the change in regs, right? They don't have expectations for him this year.
That's what. Well, yeah.
My point was that if they had just let him do it normally, he would have been here next year. And yeah, he would have had the jitters, but like you just mentioned, he would have had more testing. He would have had more, experience in general under his belt, he probably would have done better.
Yeah, no, I think we're saying the same thing. I'm just saying it in a different way, smacking Wolf across the face. Like, I'm fine with him having a whole bunch of races like this. I think that's how you learn. That's how you get better. Yeah, like unlike say Schumacher's crashing into Senna and getting better from it, Antonelli's story is going to be he crashed into Charles Leclerc. So yeah, that's not really good for his. That's not really what's the word? It's not looking great for his future. That doesn't smell champion. But it's fine for a rookie to act like this. I'm okay with it. But yeah, I guess you're right. It does need to be called out once in a while after the sixth race.
Yeah, and my issue is not with Antonelli in general. It's this race was pretty sloppy. That move wasn't on, and a proper experienced driver would have known it.
All right, so your second bad is Mercedes, or just Mercedes in general, or is still your first?
Mercedes. No, yeah, that's my second bad is Mercedes. It wasn't there this weekend, and it shows. Yeah, okay, Russell came back to fourth, but that's kind of just where he was stuck, right? He was stuck behind Hadjar the whole race, couldn't get ahead of him. If Russell is the best that Mercedes has, and he couldn't get past the Racing Bulls and Hadjar, I'm sorry, he's not very good. And we spoke very highly of Hadjar at the beginning of this, and I stick to that. But if you're a seasoned driver in what is a top four car, and you can't get past the rookie in a firmly mid-pack car, there's a problem. And okay, he took damage, sure. Didn't seem to do too bad with it. And then Mercedes told him to swap positions for Antonelli because of the damage. And then Antonelli goes and fucks it all up. So just this Mercedes team is not what it was. And they've lost a lot of people to Aston and to Red Bull. And it's starting to show, or has been showing all year.
Yeah.
And it's a mess.
You're blind.
Don't get me wrong.
Go on.
Sorry, don't get me wrong. They're still in third place. And they're still in third place by a decent margin. So they're not doing terrible. But holy shit, it could be much better.
Yeah, I think your thesis is Mercedes would be a lot better without George, even if they may have some short-term pain, because he's getting all their points, and he's pretty consistent. But like you're right, like it's just someone else other than George and Kimi would show more in this car, and maybe Kimi might show it in the future. But you're saying George is just he's an underachiever, even though it looks like he's overachieving.
Yeah, you could put it that way.
All right. I think we've gone over our time, but do you want to comment on the Cadillac driver situations? What you think?
The Cadillac situation. Obviously, you had your episode about it, and I listened to probably 2/3 of it. So let's just say the worst kept secret in F1 at the moment was Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas, which realistically I think was their only option. I don't see anybody else that would have given them what they're looking for. GM wants to come in and make a statement. And they know they're probably going to be deficient in the actual vehicle performance standpoint. So going with someone like Colton Herta or whoever else was in the running from an American standpoint was always going to be a mistake. And despite what my thoughts of GM in general are, they're not stupid people. I think they read the room and they went, well, okay, there are no worthwhile American drivers. So let's not do that. What's the next best option? It was never going to be Mick. He was going to try, but it wasn't going to be him. And Sergio and Bottas are both race winners. Both have good performance in mediocre cars.
Oh, sorry.
Both have reasonable...
Not Bottas.
Both have reasonable... Shut the fuck up. You had your chance to talk.
All right.
They both had okay performances in good cars. Sergio, to the extent that I'll call it a reasonable performance because we've seen what happens when you put another driver in that seat, right? Compared to the two drivers that have been there since he left, he really didn't do that bad. So I don't see any other option for Cadillac at this point. It was always going to be these two, and it's the only reasonable option available to them.
Any more?
No, that's it for me.
Oh, I get it too. But you just saw, I think it's the way they did it. If they signed Perez first and made a clear statement that that's our guy, and then the next guy is our second driver, or someone else who's going to just be there to help the team in the constructors, and then sign Valtteri, I'd probably be more okay with it. It's the fact that they didn't recognize that Valtteri brings nothing to this team other than his name, other than his legacy, which he destroyed at Sauber. I think to just say, oh well, the car was not good there. It's ridiculous. Hulkenberg and Bortoleto had the same problem this year, and they've helped grow with that car. They've helped that car grow in a way. Hulkenberg is doing what Bottas should have been doing the last 3 years. And I just don't see how I just think they made a mistake. I think they needed to make Perez the clear guy. At minimum, if this is the guy you want, if these are the two drivers that bring the best option to you. I think Bottas is done. And I just don't think he's going to bring much to this team. I might be wrong. I might eat those words, but I think he showed what he really is at Sauber. Without the right car, without the right structure, without the right team in place, without a good engine, without a good aerodynamic crew, he just kind of just sits there and fucks around for years. But I already outlined this, so okay. You're right. I'm just speaking emotionally now.
As you do.
I don't think you're wrong. And I already said that Mick didn't make any sense the way they were talking about him. Could have maybe thought about Alex Palou. Like someone who dominates Indy could be okay. But I don't know. Anything else?
It's such a different car.
Yeah.
It doesn't transfer.
He said that, funny enough, when he tested the McLaren. Said they're two completely different vehicles, which is kind of funny, yeah, for someone who may want to be an F1 in the future.
But the fact that he knows it tells me he's probably got a decent idea of what it would take. Not that it makes him a good driver, but he understands that it's not hop into one, hop into the other.
Do you wait for the F2 winner? Have Perez groom them, help them grow?
No. Cadillac can't afford to do that.
If the F2 winners,
they need to get out there.
They need to get out there.
Sorry?
I said if the F2 winner, I was just going to say if the F2 winner was Richard Verschoor, yes, absolutely not. But they need to get out there.
They need to get out there and they need to make a statement, right? And we saw this with Williams. Hiring back marker drivers and trying to improve a car doesn't work. You need to have people who know what they're doing. And if they don't have the experience to know what an F1 car is supposed to feel like, then they will never do anything for you. So hiring guys who have experience in this current generation car, regardless of what you think about their development talent, is a win because they know what it's supposed to feel like. And they're both capable of race distances in these types of cars. So yes, they've been out of it. They're going to do some testing of previous cars in this year with what will probably end up being a Sauber or a Ferrari. So they're going to rent a car from an existing team to do testing. And basically, Cadillac is going to simulate race weekends with the team. And that's going to give them the ability to properly understand what it means to go racing as a team with two drivers who know what they're doing. And they're going to be able to get some data that they can then plug into the sim for what they're doing for next year. If you were to do that with a rookie driver who doesn't have experience in these cars, they'd be screwed. right? So this is a statement from Cadillac that they're here. They mean what they said. They want to be out there. They want to be. I hesitate to say competitive, but they want to come in and they want to prove that this is not just they've got a bunch of money to throw around. They want to try it out, right? They got into this with a plan. They want to stick to the plan, and they're not going to fuck around. That's what this driver pairing tells me.
That's what Haas thought they had with Grosjean and Magnussen. But when one is not on the same page as the other and one is better than the other, they start fighting and they start taking the team downhill. And I think
but let's be fair. Grosjean and Magnussen are not the same caliber as Bottas and Perez.
No, but I think Bottas is entering his Kevin Magnussen phase.
No.
That's my opinion.
And you're entitled to that incorrect opinion.
You're allowed to be wrong. Fuck yeah, we should probably end it. We're way over time. Do you want to comment on what Briatore said about Colapinto?
Other than I don't know what anybody expected from Briatore. I think that's all that there needs to be said.
Well, what was this whole season about? Like they just wasted a year on two, potentially three drivers. What a waste.
Just sell the team and be done with it.
Yeah. Briatore, like, it's not, like you said perfectly, it's not 1996 anymore. You can't do stuff like this.
No. If you're going to make a comment like that in a press conference, find another fucking driver.
Yeah. You and I have said the solution is not find another driver, it's find a new team principal, but
yes,
whatever. Okay. That was our Dutch Grand Prix recap. This is the bad, the good we released earlier. We hope you enjoyed it. Sorry to end this short, but we went way over time, as usual. We'll be back after Monza. Good night, everybody.
Good night.